understand how a recruiter should select the right teacher. Selection of a teacher is at one place because we are just going to check only a piece of paper. Hope you're all there with me. The selection of the teacher is very interesting and important because they're going to match the right fit for the classroom. This is a particular recruiter lens to identify the qualified teachers. When I talk about recruiting the teacher, getting a teacher itself is a very difficult thing for a principal. From that, how to filter the content, how to see what is to be considered for the appointment of a teacher, these things are a bit crucial. Only experienced teachers and experienced principals can filter the resume of the right candidate. But here, if you follow these steps, you will be able to filter that right teacher and you can call that teacher for the interview. Why is that you should take a demo of a teacher? Is it necessary that you should take a demo of a teacher before appointing? Are you just going to understand the voice of the teacher, the modulation of the teacher, the body language of the teacher? What is it you are looking at? What is that rubrics you are going to create? There are many components wherein at one shot of 20-25 minutes you can take care of the teacher, you can understand the teacher, and you can further see what kind of hand holding you can give to the teacher. Therefore, let us understand the purpose of this webinar today. With the help of this webinar, you will be able to clearly recognize the difference between an average demo class and a high impact teaching performance. Now, what is that high impact teaching performance? Is high impact teaching performance necessary? Yes, because whatever the learning which has to happen, there is very little chance of repeating the content in the class. We might think that tomorrow we can do it or during revision time we can do it. But nowadays the content is so much that the teacher might not be able to find the repetition of the content. Instead, as well, the teacher can do something else with the students. So that's how we need to have components as to what makes a good demo class. Now, is it necessary that we take the demonstration, and is it necessary that let me just check. I think there is an issue with the Okay, am I fine? I think I am doing well. If you follow these steps, I think we can once again, I think we got connected. Because sometimes these technicalities also are very, very difficult for the for people like me to, when we are with the flow, we want things with the flow. We don't want the flow to be disturbed any time. We got connected. Because sometimes these technicalities. Yes. Therefore, when we are working on what are the important points for a good demo class, first thing is there should be a strong opening rooted in clarity. Is the teacher aware of what is that learning objectives she has to understand? I think by now, when you have watched a few of my videos, you will definitely understand the difference between a learning objective and a learning outcome. Learning objective is something wherein a teacher prepares for herself to deliver in the classroom, but that's not the end of it. The student must be able to understand, the student must be able to see the learning happening within themselves. So that's how a good teacher must begin with a purpose. Clear learning outcome should be shared with the student. Dear children, dear students, you are going to learn this by the end of the classroom. You are going to understand these are the components which are there. Therefore, we can now go to the second concept of it. The second point in this is how is the teacher connecting with the prior knowledge? If you want, you can take down the points and you can further do that demo. Like there should be a brief connection to the prior knowledge also, which has to be given. Is the teacher clear in the learning outcome which is to be given? Is the teacher clear in taking down the topic onto the board? Is the teacher clear with the prior knowledge? What sort of questions is the teacher asking the student? This is important for her. Why is this important? Clarity is the key to success. If the teacher in the first component itself, if she is unable to understand what is the component which she is going to deliver, then there is no point in asking the teacher to further continue the session, and it's literally a waste of time for the principal. Therefore, first point the principal has to observe is whether the teacher who is giving the demo class has a clarity in the content or not. Now, coming to the next important segment, that is student engagement. Student engagement, how is the teacher able to give that kind of instructions to the student so that the students are able to follow the instructions and then do the activity? Or if any question is asked in the classroom, is the question inviting thinking or not? When any question is asked, it shouldn't be something where the teacher has to give a rote question like from the textbook. How much will the students remember? How much are they supposed to understand? Now, this is not what we exactly want. We want the students to learn better. That's why we need to ask a question in the form of a why or a how. If it doesn't say what is it a why and what is it a how, it is not a question at all. That much you can take it from me. And if at all there is no eye contact and always the teacher is turning towards the blackboard or the green board or the IT LMS system, that's not enough. Nowadays, when the teacher has an eye contact, then only the deep-rooted learning will happen. Therefore, hope you are understanding the second segment, that is how the teacher is keeping the students engaged. Now, importantly, what is that example she is given? Is the example on par with the cohort of the school? That is the example given? Will it suit the students in the classroom? That's how we need to follow. We cannot give examples because we know the example. We have to give an example because the students have to understand the real life context. Is it in the form of a storytelling, or is it in the form of a content which has to be given, or is it a real life example, or is something where which happens in the same classroom and the students are able to pick up that example? That's very important for the students to give answer for such kind of question. Otherwise, the teacher has to rephrase the question. There is no chance for rote learning in the classroom, specifically, especially during the demo session, because rote doesn't help anybody at all. Now, the third important concept what we are going to come out is with the conceptual depth instead of rote delivery. In the earlier segment, I said that there is the rote delivery. If at all if there is no question of rote delivery, then what is that we are going to ask? We are going to ask a conceptual depth from the teacher. What is the clarity of the content which is explained? If there is a clarity of a content, then only there is a concept which is understood and which is processed in the minds of the student. If there is no processing in the mind, then it's as good as learning a different language totally. Therefore, the importance is given to the conceptual depth. When the examples are delivered, students will understand and will be aware of the example. But now we are coming with analysis part of it and the analogy part of it. The students will process it into their mind. The content is given to the student and the students are now processing it in the third step. There should be a concept of understanding. From understanding, the application comes into picture as per the Bloom's taxonomy. Apply, analyze, evaluate and create. Therefore, the first one is the teacher clear about the learning outcome? The second point is, are the students engaged in the classroom? The third point is, how deeply the content is being received and retained by the student. For this, only the why and the how concepts of the questions are going to help. The rest are all not at all questions, in fact. Because when the why and the why goes for the critical thinking and the how goes for the creative thinking. This will cover complete Bloom's taxonomy. That's why it is told that we have to follow the why and the how question. And the next and the fourth important point is classroom management. Is the teacher able to present her body language well? Is she confident enough? Is she able to look at all the students? It is not about 1:1. It is about the whole class. The class is not meant for one student who is repeatedly answering in the class. Is she using any cold calling in the classroom? Cold calling is important. Like we all know many such procedures, or there are videos in the YouTube channel, and you can also know about the classroom management techniques like ice cream sticks, cold calling, or you have apps also nowadays for cold calling. Then we need to have discipline with dignity. Is the teacher able to call the student with certain discipline? Is she understanding the names? How did she use the first 2 minutes in the class? Did she ask the students to write their names on slips of papers and did she keep them? Or did the teacher prior ask for a list of students in the classroom so that she can do any cold calling? This is necessary. You cannot avoid. As a principal, you cannot avoid this step. This is one thing which mandatorily you got to understand. As a principal, calling the students by name is important. Yes, students will make mistakes, and then is she able to respectfully handle the students in the classroom? Handling the students in the classroom is something very neatly it has to be done. Yes, not all answers are good answers, some answers are bad answers too. Therefore, how is the teacher maneuvering the bad or the incorrect answer? Bad in the sense not useful to the content or something different when the student has asked. How is the teacher able to pull that not so good answer to the good answer? Is she doing that effort? It is important that she does that effort. Then the very important part of it, the pinnacle of this, is what sort of assessment is the teacher conducting? The assessment can be while asking the questions in the classroom. The assessment can be any 3 to 4 questions which she is asking to check the children. The assessment also lies if the teacher has checked with all the students in the classroom. In a time period of about 25 to 30 minutes, the teacher should be able to touch all the students in the classroom. That's a challenge, and it has to be a mandatorily followed instruction and an untold rule also to the teachers. That's how the students' participation is taken into consideration, and the questions also can be small, short, one-word answers, but all the students must be checked throughout the learning time. And they can also be red flags which the principal must note. These are the 5 important red flags which the principal must observe. Monotonous lecturing. Do you find a monotonous lecturing over there? Is there no interaction? How is the time being managed? Is the teacher completing all the 20 minutes with just introducing herself and the student? Is there a structure for the lesson, or is the lesson structure lacking? Then summary is teacher's job. Summary is the authority which the teacher is going to deliver the content to the student. That's how The ideal demonstration should be about 20 to 25 minutes, not more than that. In this, the principal has to observe these 5 or 6 segments very importantly, and the reflection. How is the teacher going to recapitulate in the classroom whatever the teacher has taught? Therefore, the first point is what's the learning objective, what's the learning outcome which is going to deliver. By the time the teacher goes out of the classroom, she should be aware of that the learning outcome is being delivered to the classroom. The student engagement, the conceptual clarity, and the resources which are being brought into the classroom, the classroom management, and the assessment. If these are in place, the rubrics, the points can be given. Say each segment has 10 points. The first one, carrying a learning objective and delivering it, say 10 points. Because the broader you have, it is easier for you to mark where the teacher falls in. Second one, student engagement 1 to 10. How are you going to do it? Don't think that as a principal, you get always advised to look back and rewrite the marks over there, because sometimes we feel we will be taken away by some sort of interactions. We feel that they are not good, but later on they might turn out to be very nice, or sometimes it's the other way around. And the principal has to recheck. Every teacher demonstration attendance is important by the principal. The principal has to attend. Yes, there are HRs, there are coordinators, there are subject heads, but still principal should be the main person attending the demonstration to check many untold things in the classroom. Hope you're all enjoying my session and you have enjoyed this, because the red flags also have spoken about. Thanks for watching. Hi, I am Dr. Padmavati Tungaturti from Teach Connect. Please visit my website www.teachconnect.in, and there are many blogs specifically for the recruiter as to how to hire teachers and what are the important factors which are involved in taking care to hire the best teachers. Thanks for watching and namaste to all of you. We'll meet once again very soon, probably next week. Thank you.